running. Yeah.
Okay. And
Sorry.
yeah, I don't know. I've heard a message from the platform. And finally, the offshore is also a hydrocarbon processing industry related industry. What are our main three focuses in this industry? We will talk about the split seal technology, of course, just as a standard approach. But please be aware that in the oil and gas, we can sell split seals, and we definitely have some differentiations, and it's quite easy for us to do that. We can talk about the heavy-duty API 610 cartridge seals that really do increase the seal MTBF, and I have some good references, including Spiral Track in the oil and gas industry. And finally, of course, our gas seal technology, which is a very good opportunity we should look after. So let's start from the beginning. The split seal technology, what are you selling to the oil and gas industry? You're selling the fact that...
Enrico, so you focus on oil and gas industry. So it's really focused on the... Okay, so everybody's understanding.
Yeah, exactly. So the point is, wait, there is Eric is saying, I cannot hear you. Eric, can you hear us? Just to ask him. Yes, now yes. Okay.
Okay.
So
just to everybody, give us the sign if you can't hear, or just give us your chat messages. Yes, that everything is in okay.
Yeah, thank you. So talking about the oil and gas industry, we can work on the utility pump, and I will show you some case histories about that. And the approach is the standard one, simply the standard one for all the pumps that are not API 682 related. You go to the customer and ask him, why do you think you need to disassemble this equipment? Because this is an operation that often leads to high maintenance and operating cost, like additional labor, lifting equipment, replacement of components, downtime, and disruption to nearby plants. All these topics are topics that are very common for the refineries. And the key points when you sell split seals are that you offer your customer to eliminate the equipment tear down. And a key point that that was a part of one of the fairs I have done together with the Arabic Gulf colleague last month is that the split mechanical seal reduces the maintenance impact on the production. Why? Because it is possible to do a non-site replacement and a quick startup. It is critical for a refinery or for any petrochemical related plant to have the pump running. And split seal is capable to do that, because instead of removing the pump in case of a seal failure, you just remove the seal and you install quickly another seal and you have the pump start again. Of course, related to that, you have also reduction of equipment maintenance and elimination of flush water, depending on the application. So let's start with some case histories. I would like you really to touch some very examples of what we do on the field. You can see here a very field-related case histories. Yeah.
Enrico, it's the case studies from your personal experience?
Yeah, or? Absolutely. Okay. This is a Sicilian refinery. Now it has been part for some years, of the Russian Lukoil group. And in this case, this refinery is using the seawater to cool down, for cooling water. And to have the seawater circulating in the refinery, they are using this Worthington double-ended pump that we're using some OEM split seals, to be clear with you, Worthington pumps with Flowserve split seals that were suffering from frequent failures, and they were complicated to install. You have to be aware that our split seal is not only reliable, it's really very simple to install. It has something like 11 patents around the seal project. part of which are related to the self-centering mechanism. And so the first application has been done in November 2013. You see the first pump has been moved to the pump repair shop, probably because the customer was not trusting us. Then he saw how easy it was to install the split seals, and the following 3 pumps were not even removed. You can see that on the second picture, the small one. They were kept in place, and we just did the installation of the split seals, and they run absolutely well. Another application still in a refinery. This is the ENI group of Italy in Tuscany. That's been done by my colleague Johnny Lucchesi. And in this case, it is a wastewater, because yes, you have also wastewater treatment plant inside all the refineries. And this is pumps and plants where they do not need API 682 seal, and where you can, of course, do our typical approach. You can see here a vertical centrifugal pump for wastewater that was using a cartridge seal. So complex equipment disassembly in case of seal repair. It has been converted to the 442 50 millimeters, running leak-free since more than a year. And once the first year has been passed, it has become the standard of application, and all the split seals have been bought. Very easy, very classical, no problem from this kind of approach. I have a third and final case history regarding the split seal, which is one from Belgium. So in this case, I am just reading what our distributor Safe Tension is telling us. This is a petrochemical plant in Belgium with Ansival-Moret vertical pumps, in this case for cooling water. And this is a very typical case where mechanical packing, you can see in the first picture, the big one, how severe was the leakage, and so the rust all around the seal area, and how since 2008 the pump is cleaner thanks to the 442 split mechanical seal installed. We are talking about a application running since 9 years, and if Safe Tensioning is listening to us, any kind of additional comments or information regarding that will be welcome. So this is sorry, I have a question from Laurent.
I have a question exactly. Do we need
ATEX seal for wastewater application? No. Thank you, Laurent, for the application. So we do not need the ATEX certification, because there is no risk of explosion when you deal with wastewater or cooling water. ATEX is just related when the fluid itself or the ambient air around the pump is very close to explode if it feels too much heat. That's the sense of ATEX. But the question is a good one, because 442 is actually ATEX Zone 0 qualified. So we can even do some ATEX 0 application with 442 seals. Now, in addition to the split seal, we can offer also.
Enrico, I have a question to your cases. Yes, so you follow the cases of customers, right? So you from the beginning you support the customer.
Yeah.
With Chesterton seals, you propose the support of Chesterton mechanical seals, or?
Yeah, definitely. Well,
I mean, it wouldn't happen. The picture number 1, it wouldn't happen with Chesterton mechanical seals, right?
Of course not. Of course not. It's a competitor mechanical seal, competitor mechanical packing. But effectively, I have a case history from Dan Seal, if I remember well, of a mixer on a wastewater treatment plant where the Chesterton packing has been replaced to a Chesterton split seal. But the reason was not due to leakage, it was due to ATEX 0. So in this case, the problem with packing it is that it is not ATEX 0 qualified. It will never be. And yes, I see also an additional question from Laurent, which is based on the fact that in case of an explosive plant, what about ATEX? So yes, if you have for some strange reason, if you have the wastewater pump inside an explosive area, then yes, you will need to have ATEX certified seal, not because of the fluid inside the pump, but because of the atmospheric explosive around the pump. But in this case, still the 442 is capable to be ATEX 0, so it's not a problem for us. So in addition to the split mechanical seals to the refinery, oil and gas industries, and etc., we can offer also cartridges. Our cartridges are...
Enrico, can you
Yep.
explain what BAT is? BAT for bad
Yeah,
actors?
sure. Thank you. It's the best available technologies.
Uh-huh.
Our cartridges are designed in order to be to have a added value of reliability, and that is why we are focused typically on the bad actors. It means that if a customer has some kind of a pump that has a too low
But
heat time
best
between failure.
available on the market or
Yeah,
best available
yes, the best
or
available
only in
technology on
testers?
that.
Okay.
There are some associations like the European Sealing Association that defines what are the best available technologies to seal the pumps or the valves, and often Chesterton is using these best available technologies on his mechanical seal, just because we are here to offer an added value and not cheaper. That's our market approach. And to give you some ideas of what we can do using cartridges in refineries or oil and gas plants, I will start with some case histories. One is from, some are from distributors, one is mine. So in this case, I'm using one from Vogelsang. It's very interesting case histories because we are talking about a refinery in Scandinavia with horizontal centrifugal pumps using crude oil. So here, the customer, for some reason, was not asking for API 652 seal. And the original seal was a flushed single mechanical seal whose life was 6 months. With a related cost, you can see here in Norwegian krone, very high and very frequent. And even if our 280 seal with a pressurized biofluid might be expensive on the first sight, you can see that since the first installation in May 2000, the first check of this application after 9 years was that our 280 seal was running leak-free with an MTBF multiplied by 18 and a savings of more than 1 million of Norwegian crowns for this
you made
requirement.
real calculations for that, and I mean it's a real proof.
Did, yeah.
Okay, so you can go to customer and say this is my saving for this. So you have a real
And
proof.
by the way, if there were any additional updates on this application from our Nordic colleagues, they are just welcome, because this is the kind of case history really amazing and of which everybody should be aware of. A more simple case history, but direct, I can talk about that just to give you also some tips, is about a tank farm. So tank farm is really something you can find everywhere in your territory. And in this case, it is a tank farm of LPG, liquid petroleum gas. That's the kind of gas you can use to heat up your house or to fire and boil your water for the spaghetti, for example. And in this case, there was a centrifugal pump dealing with this loading and unloading of tanks and trucks, the LPG trucks that then you can see in the highways. And they were using a standard single cartridge seal. What was the point? In this case, not really short MTBF, rather the fact that it was risking to leak on the atmosphere. So we convert that to a standard S20, a simple dual seal with a buffer tank, and it ran absolutely well for 4 years, leak-free.
Enrico, we have
Yep.
question, by the way, from
Yep.
Marcel.
Yeah,
Question to
Marcel.
application. Yes. Which barrier fluid and why 53A plus 13?
So, okay, so it is about the previous case histories, and I don't want to tell things I do not know. So I do not know the barrier fluid. I will ask to the colleague from Fuglesang, And the barrier fluid, I can just suppose. So it's a good question I cannot answer yet because it's not an application I followed. But since it is a pressurized, I suppose it was just to protect the seal faces from the crude oil. Often the crude oil, we will see that in other case histories, is actually a dirty crude oil with sand and other solids. So that is why a pressurized barrier fluid can be useful. Sorry, not to answer better than that, Marcel, but it is not a case history of mine, so I will check that better for you and be back to you with the answer.
It was a provocation question.
No, it was not. So these are two case histories from our distributors in Bahrain, which is a very experienced guy, Hussein Abdullah. And in this case, we are dealing with the first example is the Flowserve vertical four-stage booster pump dealing with dirty crude oil. And with chronic failures, very short MTBF, 3 months of the OEM cartridge seal, causing also wear of bearing, shaft leads, all the typical issues of seal leaking. And here we have an idea of what are the costs, 40,000 US dollars per repair of all the pump. So in this case, he went with the 225A, so with an API 610 flange gland of the seal, plus a complete package to have the pump running better. Not all the distributors can do that because Hussein is a very knowledgeable guy, but in case you do not have a internal pump repair shop, you might find a experienced pump repair partner locally to do this kind of package, because in the case of our Bahrain distributor, he has been able to multiply the MTBF by 8. This pump is now running leak-free since more than 2 years, and the maintenance cost has been reduced by 75%. So this is the kind of door opener application where the customer then will trust you and give you more and more application. And
so
another example,
repair costs are really huge, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because if you can,
what the message that or solution that we can offer?
Well, if you can think about it, in this case, the customer was paying 4 times a year, 40,000 US dollars for the pump repair related to the mechanical seal failure. So we are talking about 160,000 US dollars per year, so 320,000 US dollars in the 2 years. And even if our 225A, of course, is not cheap, it will never be as expensive as that, and that is why.
Okay. So that's the explanation for me, just like
absolutely.
Pay me. I see the numbers, so I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank
you. You're welcome. And a second application similar to this one is interesting to me because we are not always aware that spiral track can be used as a best available technology in the oil and gas too. Here we have a French pump, Ancival Moret, vertical multi-stage. Here too with waste oily salt water with high percentage of sand and H2S. And here too, frequent failures and pump problems. And in this case, the addition of the spiral track to our heavy-duty cartridge seal brought the customer here to multiply the MTBF by 8 and to reduce the maintenance cost by 65%. So these are some examples of what we can do still in this industry without having the API 682 seals. Just going forward, just for the fun, just like the 442 split seals. Yes?
Some remarks from Marcel. Do you know from which material this spiral track is made?
Good question. No, I have to ask to Hussein. Let me think. It can be, the question is good, it can be some special steel in order to resist not only to the abrasion but also to the chemical attack. But on the other side, I'm thinking loud, but on the other side, the seal itself is in 316. So probably the spiral track is in 316.2, but I will check that with the Hussein. It's a good question, and I do not have the answer yet under my hand.
Marcel, we will investigate and talk about in IFAT, in trade show in Munich in May. Okay?
Exactly. And the idea here to show the typical video of the spiral track is that even if we are dealing with the oil and gas industry, we can still have the classical approach, just like we did with the split seal. We can do that also with the spiral track. There are applications where our solutions are applicable and that the customer can buy them in order to increase their MTBF. There is still improvement possible in these applications. And of course, one of the key advantages we are offering is that we can do the spiral track in any kind of material. We can do that customized and so on and so
on. Sorry, Enrique, can you explain,
yep.
so like to dummies like me, once again, this spiral track process? So go slide back.
So the idea here is that you have the plexiglass pump in our laboratory that is filled with the solids, and here you have the impeller, you have the solids that are risking to clog our mechanical seal or to make our mechanical packing run less. And so once you have the second video now turning, you can see a spiral track installed on the backside of the stuffing box, and you see that with the pump running, you have in a few seconds the seal area that has been cleaned by the abrasive that has been sucked to the impeller, and now the mechanical seal or the packing is just running in a clean water or clean fluid whatsoever, even if the pump is pumping dirty fluids. So this is why the MTBF of the sealing system increases.
Solids are completely so clean, so it's removed. Okay.
Absolutely. It makes their life easier.
And
you're welcome. And be aware also that our 155 family of seals that have, of course, the 155A, so API 610 family of seal, is capable to do low emission seal design thanks to the monolithic dynamic stress design where the face flatness is kept even if there are pressure surges or variation on the temperature or the process. Not all the seals are capable to do that, and we are. And here too, I have some short references like this. Some Slovakian references I received some years ago when I was pushing on the seals for the oil and gas industry. You can see here in a refinery in Slovakia with a medium heavy oil 4 to 5 years ago, so still running. I'm expecting 155A or 186 HT, so standard seal, even if they have an API 610 flange that are an opportunity to sell. And I would also like you to be aware that we are capable to do very special engineered seal. Look at this Bornemann twin shaft pump in the USA that needed a twin seal based on the 180.
What do you mean really special?
In this case,
or what? Explain.
In this case, we are not talking about a simple seal like the 180 standing alone. We are talking about a couple of 180 seals, like twins, all together sealing on these twin shafts. And we are absolutely capable to have a good results on this kind of application. So don't be afraid if the customer shows you this kind of strange drawing. We definitely have already the references to deal with that. This was the message. Just have a look at some questions, if any. Oh, I have one from Eric. What is the approach in France? We have a hurdle from Total API 610. If you have not this approval, they never list you. Okay. Eric, thank you for the question. So API 610, we have it. The point with API 610 is just that you have the design of the flange that is thicker without the slots. It has only the drilled holes, and it can handle higher pressures. But basically, for example, the 155A is just the 155 with a custom flange, API 610. So all requests for API 610 seals, we can handle that, single and double, not a problem. The problem is when we are requested to do API 682. In this case, we cannot. That's the difference. I hope
Eric is answering. I know the API 16 spirit and dimensions and our seal.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
So finally, one of the third key applications we can propose to the oil and gas industry are the gas seals. Why? Be aware that the gas seal is called gas seal because it's a gas lubricated seal. It can run dry, it can run on fluids, it can run on liquids, it can run on powders whatsoever. It is a gas lubricated seal because you create a cushion of gas. And by the way, whatever the gas, that is why I wrote you on the first row. The requirement of the gas. The gas must be filtered and dried, but it is not forced to be nitrogen. It can be compressed air. And as long as the supply of this gas is reliable, our gas seal will not need a control panel. It will be a zero emission seal without phase contact. And in standard application, the life expectancy is 5 to 10 years because there is no wear. And we have references on that. I have two to show you. The first one is from our Spanish friends from Stop Fluids. It deals with Sabic in Spain, where we have some Durco centrifugal pump dealing with a crystallizing and harmful fluid. And by the way, this Durco centrifugal pump were using competitor gas seal. And this competitor gas seal were failing frequently every 4 months, causing plant shutdown. Why? Because our gas seal is really a flexible one. It can handle, and we can see that also on the next case history, we can handle pressure changes and temperature changes without problem thanks to our in-gland control system. This is the key differentiation of our gas seal. In this case, Stop Fluid multiply the mid time between failure by 6 with this gas seal running leak-free for more than 24 months. So we can definitely upgrade the competitor gas seals. We can also upgrade from standard cartridge seals. And I have been told that in the US, there is a colleague of ours that once he has sold his first gas seal, he enjoyed that so much that he's doing only that now. He's focused on gas seal only. And you can see an example here of a marine storage terminal. So a marine storage, it's the tank farm or the terminal that loads and unloads ships in order to fill the tank farms with different fluids. You can see here phenol, hexane, styrene, etc. We don't care about the fluid as long as the gas supplied is reliable because the gas is kept away from the seal faces. And
so it was like champion, right?
Oh yeah, definitely is a guy that really liked gas seal, and his trust in the gas seal has been transmitted to the customer, of course. And in this case, when you load and unload the ships and the tanks, it is normal to have a fluctuating pressure. Just imagine that the tank, when it is filled, it creates more pressure than when it is emptied. And this is a condition that our gas seal, thanks to the automatic in-gland control system, can handle, while the competitor gas seal often cannot. And this is why, in this case, you can imagine this marine storage terminal with 65 gas seals running. They are really the standard of the storage terminal since 2004, and they are really working very well. So this was, I don't know if there are other questions, because basically, uh, let's have a look. No, not for the moment. So this is what I would wanted to show you today, and to share. Of course, this presentation is for all of you guys. That the oil and gas industry and the hydrocarbon processing industry, even if Chesterton has no longer the API 682 certified seals, why I am underlining certified, because we still can do the A182 and A2382 seals that are designed as per the API 682 standard, but we are no longer pursuing the test, the certifications, and all the paperwork that are related to them. So, and of course, the standard customer wants all the paperwork.
So your message, we have opportunity, a lot of opportunity on market.
Absolutely. When you go to the oil and gas industry,
yes.
First of all, talking about the mechanical seals, we have the utilities pumps, so cooling pump, seawater pump, wastewater pump, vacuum pumps, etc. We have the tank farms for oil and gases with the gas seals. I showed you an example with the S20. And we have also, where the customer accept that, our API 610 seals that are still part of our portfolio and still are robust seal compared to what we can find in the market. What's the oil and gas industry? That's the whole range of refineries, petrochemical plants, the tank farms, the offshore. And be aware also that once you have entered with mechanical seal, you can also enlarge your sales with all our lines of product, because you have, of course, a flange live loading on the heat exchangers, the valve packing or the valve program to reduce the emissions with the spool packing or the live loading program. You have the ILMRO with typically the anti-seize related to the live loading, but also other kind of products. We definitely have references on metal and concrete coatings related to the oil and gas, and we even have references with EPS, because there are reciprocating pumps using EPS, Chesterton EPS, and we can also propose valve sealing with EPS.
So it's a whole package of products.
Absolutely, and as Chesterton, we can differentiate ourselves also from this point of view. So this is the end of this webinar. Unless you have some questions, we are available for that. Otherwise, we will send to all the participants the presentation.
I think the guys are shocked and impressed about the opportunities. Yes. Anyway, so the presentation and